welcome to the deep dive. Just think for a second about how much AI is already part of our lives. Music recommendations, email drafts, it's just everywhere.
It really is moving incredibly fast.
But have you stopped to think about how these tools, these really powerful, fast-moving tools, are affecting the youngest people around? Children.
Yeah, it's definitely not just theory anymore, is it? Kids are actually interacting with AI in schools, toys, online.
Everywhere they learn and play.
Exactly. And the implications are huge. It touches, everything from how they learn to their safety, even how they understand the world.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We've got this stack of recent sources, research papers, case studies, observations, all looking at different angles of how AI and kids interact. Our mission here is simple. Cut through the hype, pull out the key facts, the surprising bits, and give you a really solid, informed picture of what's going on. It's a complex topic.
It definitely is. We'll look at AI as a learning tool first, then we'll switch it up how AI is being used to understand kids' learning.
And also how kids themselves kind of get AI.
Right. And crucially, the big safety and ethical stuff that comes with all this, super important.
It's a lot, definitely. And it's all coming straight from the material you shared. Now, just before we jump in, a quick heads up for you, our listener. If you're keen to learn more about AI yourself,
which is a great idea these days.
Totally. You can get a special discount on the AI course over at rajamanikam.com. Just use the coupon code QPT. That's Q-PDT.
Yeah, it's a really good resource if you want to get a deeper understanding.
Okay, then. Let's get into it. First up, AI as a helper, a tool that kids, or maybe parents for kids, are using to learn.
Right. And source one gives us a really relatable starting point. It's this anecdote about a parent.
Okay.
They were using an LLM, a large language model, to help their kids revise for GCSE history, specifically American and medical.
Okay. Stuff maybe the parent wasn't an expert on either.
Exactly. And you might think, well, just Google it. But the source makes a key to Google gives you facts, dates, bits of info.
Right. Fragmented. Yeah.
This LLM, though, it gave structured answers, explanations. It acted more like a tutor guiding the revision, not just spitting out facts.
So more synthesis, less just retrieval, helping them actually process the information.
Precisely. Which is a different kind of help than just looking things up.
And it's not just for traditional school subjects, is it? The Source 9 talks about creative learning, coding.
Yeah, this one's about a tool called Scratch Copilot for kids aged, 7 to 16 using Scratch?
Scratch, right, the block-based coding thing, very popular. So how does AI help there?
Well, the Copilot uses models like GPT-4o and LE3.
DALL-E, the image generator.
Yep. So it helps kids with coding problems, suggests project ideas, and it can even generate images for their Scratch projects.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. How well did it actually work in the study? Was it, helpful?
The researchers estimated it successfully handled about 70% of the kids' questions or requests.
70%, that's actually pretty high.
It is significant help, yeah. But, and this is important, the researchers pointed out it wasn't a complete replacement for human help.
Okay. So the other 30%.
Still needed a person. Maybe the AI's feedback was confusing or it just completely missed what it was trying to, things like that.
Got it. So a powerful assistant, it takes care of a lot of common hurdles, but you still need that human oversight.
Yeah.
Especially when things get tricky or the AI goes off the rails a bit.
Exactly right. So these examples, they kind of paint this picture of AI becoming an active partner from tough homework to creative digital stuff.
Okay, so that's AI helping kids, but now let's flip it. This is where I think it gets really fascinating. Using AI to understand kids.
Yeah.
To figure out how they learn and develop.
Yeah, this is cutting-edge stuff. Source 3, for instance, took a really novel approach. They used LLMs to try and interpret scientific concepts from children's drawings.
Wait, drawings, like kids drawing circuits or solar eclipses, buoyancy, that kind of thing.
Exactly, those kinds of things.
Wow, that sounds like trying to read tea leaves almost. How did they get AI to analyze drawings? They're so subjective.
Well, they had a pretty clever process. First, they used an LLM, like ChatGLM 4.0, basically, for image recognition to describe the drawing in words.
Okay, so turn the picture into text.
Right. Then they used another technique, word-to-vec, which looks at how words relate to each other semantically. They used that to measure how similar those text descriptions were across different kids' drawings of the same concept.
Okay, so AI describes the picture, then another AI checks how consistent those descriptions are. Makes sense. What did they find? Did it work?
Well, here's the interesting bit. The LLM wasn't great at identifying the specific scientific concept. Accuracy was low average of about 46.7%.
Less than half the time it knew what the drawing was supposed to be.
Yeah.
That seems not great.
It does seem low for identification, yeah.
Yep.
But here's the twist. While the accuracy was low, the consistency between drawings for the same concept, that was incredibly high, like a median semantic similarity over 0.98.
Hold on. So the AI often didn't know what concept the kid was drawing, but it noticed that lots of kids were drawing very similar things for that concept, even if those things weren't scientifically accurate.
You got it. Exactly. The source suggests this points to a kind of collective bias. Kids might share common misconceptions and represent concepts inaccurately, but they do it in very consistent ways.
Wow. So AI isn't just finding the right answer, it's revealing patterns in the wrong answers.
Yeah.
That tells you a lot about how kids are actually thinking, doesn't it?
It really does. It highlights these shared misunderstandings, and it uncovered other things, too.
Like what?
Like, kids often focus more on the process of an experiment they did in class rather than the scientific point of it.
Oh, right. Like building the boat for buoyancy, not the floating part.
Exactly. Focusing on the action, not the principle.
Yeah.
And it also showed they lean heavily on concrete examples they saw in class when trying to represent abstract ideas. It underlines how much they need tangible things to grasp abstraction.
Fascinating stuff, using drawings that way.
And there's another angle on using AI to understand kids in Source 8. This one analyzed kids' own narratives about their free play.
Free play narratives. Like kids describing what they did during playtime.
Yeah, it could be written or spoken. The researchers fed these text narratives into LLMs to see if they could infer developmental abilities.
What kind of abilities?
A whole range. Cognitive stuff like numerical or geometric thinking, creativity, motor skills, fine and gross, and then social emotional things like recognizing emotion, empathy, communication, collaborate.
And they compared the AI's assessment to human expert. How did it do?
Pretty well, actually. For the cognitive, motor, and social domains like communication, collaboration, the LLM achieved over 90% accuracy compared to the human experts.
90%. Just from reading descriptions of play. That's pretty impressive for judging complex skills.
Well, it really is. But it wasn't quite as good with the emotional domain. Accuracy there was lower, sort of between 70 and 90%, for things like empathy or emotional recognition.
That's interesting. Why the dip for emotions? Any idea from the source?
The thinking is that emotional stuff is just subtler, more context-dependent than describing, say, building a tower or sharing a toy. Those are concrete actions.
Right. Easier to spot in a text description.
Exactly. Emotional nuances, how someone felt or understood someone else's feelings during play. That's harder to capture just from text. Even for advanced LLM, a human might pick up on more.
Makes sense. Emotions are tricky even face-to-face. But did the educators involved find the AI analysis useful overall?
Yeah, according to the source, they did. They found it accurate, efficient, easy to use. They especially liked that it could sometimes flag abilities they might have missed, particularly social skills.
Oh, interesting. Like picking up patterns humans might overlook.
Yeah, and they also saw potential for tracking development over time, using visualizations the AI could generate from all that narrative data.
So it seems AI can process this, like qualitative data play stories at scale, and offer real insights, even highlighting things we might miss. But still, maybe struggles with the deepest human nuances, like emotion, a tool, not a replacement.
Exactly. A potentially powerful tool for research and maybe supporting educators. It opens up new ways to analyze data that used to be incredibly time-consuming.
Okay, so let's shift perspective again. We've talked about AI helping kids and AI helping us understand kids, but what about the kids themselves? As they use these tools more, how do they think AI actually works? What's going on in their heads?
Right. That's what Source 10 looked into. K-12 kids' mental models of AI reasoning. How do they explain how AI thinks?
And what do they find? Do kids have specific ways they imagine it?
Yeah, the study identified 3 main models that kept coming up.
Okay, what are they?
So first, there's what they called inherent reasoning. This is basically the idea that the AI just knows stuff. It's smart because it's AI or it's a robot.
Well, it's just magically intelligent.
Pretty much. They might point to how fast it is or how much it seems to know. It's an innate quality.
Okay, that's one model. What else?
Second is inductive reasoning. Here, kids get the idea that AI learns from examples. You show it tons of cat pictures, it learns cat, or it learns from data, maybe answers people have given it before.
So closer to actual machine learning concept there.
Yeah.
Learning from data.
Yep. And the third model is deductive reasoning. This is where kids think AI just follows rules. Humans programmed it with instructions, and it executes them step by step, like code.
So the 3 models are, it's magic smart, it learns from examples, or it follows human rules.
Basically, yes. But here's the really interesting part the study found. Kids might understand individual concepts like data or coding separately. They might grasp computational literacy or data literacy on their own.
Okay.
But they often struggle to combine those ideas when thinking about how AI as a whole does complex reasoning. Like, how does following rules and learning from data come together?
So they get the ingredients, maybe, but not the recipe for how AI actually...
That's a great way to put it. They understand the pieces, but the whole system together. Still kind of a black box. And the source argues this really highlights a gap. We need better AI literacy education that explicitly connects those pieces, computational thinking, data concepts, to what AI actually does, like classification or prediction or generating text. Help them build a more complete...
That seems critical, doesn't it? If they're going to use these tools, understanding even basically how they work gives them more power and critical perspective.
Absolutely. It's foundational for thinking critically about the tech they're surrounded by.
Which leads us straight into, well, the really critical and sometimes pretty concerning area, safety and ethics. When AI and kids mix, what are the dangers we need to be aware of?
This is huge. And Source 5 gives us a really stark warning sign. It's a case study. An LLM chatbot was used in a middle school.
Okay. For learning, presumably.
Presumably, but it revealed some serious problems. Students started testing its boundaries, asking inappropriate questions. Maybe they felt anonymous or were curious.
Inappropriate how? What kind of things?
The study found kids asking about sex, using profanities, asking about illegal stuff. And the big issue was the standard content filters just weren't cutting it.
So the chatbot sometimes responded.
Yes. In some cases, it generated explicit content or harmful advice, things like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really bad for a tool aimed at middle school. Could you give an example from the source?
Sure. One example they cited, a student asked how to sneak out of the house. The chatbot gave step-by-step instructions. Wait until they're asleep, disable security cameras, climb out quietly.
Seriously, it told them how.
Yep. Another example showed the chatbot kind of brushing off hateful language, just calling it slang.
Yikes. Those examples really hit home. It shows the potential for real harm or just normalizing really bad ideas.
Exactly. And the source makes a really strong point. We urgently need a specific way to categorize these, a taxonomy, but from a child's perspective.
Not just general harmful content, but things specifically risky for minors.
Precisely. They suggest categories like danger, sexual content, illegal activity, self-harm, hate speech, profanities, substance, and they argue you absolutely have to rigorously test AI systems against these child-specific risks before letting kids interact with them.
That makes so much sense. Standard filters clearly aren't enough. The safety measures need to be designed for kids' unique vulnerabilities and, frankly, their curiosity.
Couldn't agree more. And the ethical minefield doesn't end with chatbot. Source 6 tackles another huge, children's images ending up in AI trainings.
Right. How does that even happen? How do kids' photos get scooped up?
A lot of these huge data sets are built by just scraping images from the web, publicly available stuff, often from social media sites like Instagram or Flickr.
Without asking permission for AI training.
Often, yes. Or the consent is buried in terms of service nobody's. And when kids' pictures are scraped this way.
What are the risks? What could happen?
The source flags major risks: exploitation, profiling, tracking. Imagine your child's image being used, without your knowledge, to train facial recognition systems or demographic analysis. It's a massive privacy and safety concern.
It really is. Is there anything tech can do about it? Are people trying to fix this?
The source talks about one potential approach using VLM's vision language models, AI that understands images and text.
Okay.
The idea is to use these VLMs to automatically scan data sets and detect, then remove, images that likely contain children.
So using AI to clean up the ethical mess AI data collection sometimes creates.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
But it's not straightforward. The source notes challenges, like the data used to train these detection tools might itself be inconsistently labeled.
Right. Garbage in, garbage out.
And they stress a key ethical point. When you build a tool like this, you have to prioritize minimizing false negatives.
Meaning, you absolutely do not want to miss an image of a child.
Exactly. It's much better to accidentally flag a few non-child images false positive than it is to let even one child's image slip through undetected. Safety.
That makes sense. The priority has to be protecting the kids.
Absolutely. And the source ends with this really strong call for the whole AI community, researchers, companies, to urgently reflect on this. And we need responsible dataset practice. We need to protect children's rights.
It's a powerful call to action. Ethical data is just as vital as safe interaction design.
For sure. And just quickly on a related ethical note, Source 4 mentions using AI ethically to help kids, specifically for detecting cyberbullying.
How does that work ethically?
It talks about using LLMs to generate synthetic data, fake but realistic examples of cyberbullying conversation.
So you don't need to use real harmful messages involving actual children.
Exactly. You train the detection AI on this synthetic data. The source argues this is more scalable, more ethical, because you're not exposing human reviewers to tons of awful content, and cheaper than trying to get real, sensitive data from kids.
That's actually a really clever use of AI, using it to create safe training data to build tools that protect kids without the ethical baggage of using real harmful data.
Right. It shows AI can be part of the solution if we build it thoughtfully and ethically.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot of ground here. Let's try and sort of pull the threads together.
It's definitely a complex picture. We've seen AI popping up in kids' lives in so many ways, helping with homework, boosting creativity and coding.
Right. And then researchers using really advanced AI to analyze kids' drawings, their play stories, getting these new insights into how they think and develop.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. And then we looked at how kids themselves understand AI, those mental models, the magic box versus learning from data.
Highlighting that need for better AI literacy so they're not just passive users.
And then the really heavy stuff, the critical safety issues, harmful chatbot responses, the urgent need for child-specific filters.
And those huge ethical questions around kids' data, especially their images, being used without real consent.
And just to reiterate for you listening, all of this, it's coming directly from that stack of sources we unpacked. This isn't just our opinions. It's based on current research, actual case studies.
And why should you care about all this? Oh, because AI isn't some sci-fi future thing. It's here, now. It's in the classroom tools, the toys, the websites kids use every single day.
It really is.
So understanding the benefits, sure, but also the limitations, the nuances, and definitely these very real risks. That's essential for parents, educators, policymakers, really anyone who cares about kids thriving in this digital world.
Yeah, it really demands we pay close attention and are proactive.
Absolutely. So that was our deep dive into AI's impact on children, from learning aid to research tool to this source of major safety and ethical dilemmas.
And I think as AI just keeps getting more powerful, the big question we're left with is, how do we make sure it's developed and used not just for kids, but truly with their best interests, their safety, their understanding, right at the very center of it all?
That's the challenge, isn't it? It's not a one-time fix. It needs constant attention, ongoing research, ethical debate, collective effort.
Yeah, it's a conversation we need to keep having.
Definitely leaves us with a lot to chew on. And just one final reminder for you. If this conversation sparked your interest in learning more about AI, don't forget you can get that discount for the AI course at rajamanikam.com. The code is QPT.
Thanks for tuning in for this really important deep dive.
Catch you on the next one.